19th century was the beginning period of sociocultural anthropology, but it is now most prevalent branch of anthropology. It is a sociocultural anthropology, and it is being inspired by the idea of evolution after Darwin's publication of Origin of Species or Survival of the Fittest in terms of physical biology, physical or biological anthropology. Many sociocultural anthropologists become interested in exploring the possibility of a similar process of evolution in the field of society and culture, and they focused on the study of pre-literate societies, that is non-literate societies, in the belief that they represented the earliest condition of human society, because human at that time, the they are non-literate, or the prehistoric man that only collecting food, and it is called as hunters and food gatherers. All of them who got themselves involved in the comparative study of pre-literate societies and cultures at that time with the intention of studying origin and evolution preferred the term ethnologists for them, and it deals with man in the context of society and culture. While society's presence is attested at subhuman level, culture is exclusively a human phenomenon, and broadly speaking, it concentrates on the life patterns of people, okay, such as culture, society, social group, marriage behavior, and the respective behavior towards society as well as individuals, and it develops as a science of sociocultural similarities and differences with no limitation of time and space. In the beginning, it studies only among the pre-literate people, but now it entertains no such limitations. By the beginning of the 20th century, its earlier designation as ethnology was gradually abandoned, and it is replaced by the terms cultural anthropology in America and by social anthropology in Britain. Okay, so cultural anthropology studies is studied in America, and social anthropology terms given by British anthropologist. In America, a tradition of study of whole cultures developed, while in Britain, a comparative study of social cultures was considered to be the subject matter of social anthropology. The American anthropologists, however, considered the study of culture of people to include social structure, so the two differed only in degrees. Unlike its earlier exclusive preoccupation with the preliterate, it has extended its domain to cover complex societies as well. Though the study of small-scale non-literate societies is still important to it, life of the people has several dimensions, and attempts to study each one in detail has resulted in the origin and growth of several sub-branches from the elementary branch of sociocultural anthropology, such as economic anthropology, political anthropology, psychology, psychological anthropology, anthropology of religion, anthropology of marriage, kinship, descent as well, and so on and so forth. We shall overview only these sub-branches of major interest, such as economic anthropology. Production, consumption, distribution, and exchange are the basic structures of economic transactions and its processes. Economic anthropologists concentrate on these activities mainly in non-literate and peasant societies, and they focus on modes of exchanges including ceremonial exchanges. What is ceremonial exchanges? We will study in the next topic, in which the economic anthropology we will study in 2.6, I think 2.6 topic. The concept of reciprocity and redistribution are crucial here. The nature of trade and market systems are also studied. The process of economic growth and development in societies are ultimately studied. Some scholars argue that the economic activities of man are not studied in isolation, but in their socio-cultural setting, with the emphasis on those socio-cultural factors that influence and determine economic activity in each societies. And in the tribal economic activities, the barter system is present, as a give and take system, as a give and take system in economic criteria. It resulted in a hot debate between the formalists and substantivists. Formalists and substantivists we study in the economic anthropology in the next topic, that is the 2.6 something I think. Okay, here we will overview about formalist and substantivist. Formalist, those which are who believed the society presence in the modern age, and here the market system is involved. And substantivist believe that the primitive market such as the barter system is involved, and it holistically they holistically studied the primitive market, primitive economic system. Okay, so here you can see that those who feel that the theories formulated in the discipline of economics are equally sufficient in explaining economic processes in simple societies, and those who counter by arguing that the economy of each society is embedded in the bed of culture, and so that economic theories that have been constructed with the modern monetized systems in mind do not find a credible place in the anthropology of simple societies. And political anthropology, under political anthropology, this political anthropology concentrates on the presence of political process and the functions of legitimate authority, law, justice, and sanctions in simple societies. Focus of power and leadership. It focuses on the anthropological point of view in the formulation of the typology of political structures based on differences, similarities observed among the societies of the world and its political processes emerging among nations and complex societies. Moreover, it also studies political culture and the nation building processes. And psychological anthropology, under this, it is a study of cross-cultural variations in psychological traits. It studies psychological, behavioral, and personal approaches of man. It is developed as an interdisciplinary approach between psychology and socio-cultural anthropology. Modern psychological anthropologists are very much interested in the process by which culture is transmitted from one generation to the next. Ecological anthropology. The term ecology refers to the totality of relations between environment and organism. It deals with the relationship between human beings and their environments. It is the use of the concept of environment in the explanation of different cultural elements and also the diversity of cultural groups. Two main views related to cultural behavior and environment are the determinism and possibilism. So we will study these two terms in the next topic. Here we can see overview of these determinism and possibilism terms. This former means the determinism, former, that is determinism, also called environmentalism, states that environment dictates cultural practices, whereas possibilism denies it and holds that environment has a limiting rather than the determining effect on cultural behaviors. So simply this means that determinism called environmentalism, and this states that environment dictates cultural practices. When environment is present, the cultural practices are also present. And under possibilism, it denies that environment has a limiting. It observes that environment has a limiting rather than the determining effect on cultural behaviors. So determinism emphasizes more of the environmentalism, and possibilism emphasize of the limit of the environmentalism in the cultural practices. It is the use of the concept of environment in the explanation of both the origin of different cultural elements and also the diversity of cultural groups. And this environmental anthropology attempts to understand cultural groups. and it also attempts to understand the relative influence of the environment on human society and how it is used by different societies. The ecological perspective is based on the assumption that constant interplay takes place between man and his environment. They cannot be understood as isolated entities. The ecological perspective in anthropology was first expressed by Stewart in the 1930s through his most important concept, cultural ecology, which recognized that culture and environment are not separate spheres but they are involved in a dialectic interplay or reciprocal causality. Both are important for their survival. And next is the ethno-archaeology. The term ethnic refers to a group distinguished by common cultural characteristics, and the comparative study of cultures in historical perspective is the subject matter of ethnology, whereas the descriptive account of the total way of life of the people at a given time is devoted as ethnography. Archaeology is that the branch of anthropology which is concerned with the historical reconstruction of cultures that no longer exist. Okay, so here it helps to reconstruct the human past in its material features, including how people lived and worshipped, how they built their arts, tombs, and travels. So remember this. And it provides material on man's prehistory about which no written records are available. It is concerned with all of man's material remains. Thus, the use of archaeology to study ethnography becomes imperative. That is why this branch is referred to as ethnoarchaeology. And next is the anthropology of religion. And this religious anthropology we will study in the next topic with the thoroughly, because this religion of anthropology is very important chapter in the optional subject. So under this there are many theories regarding the origin of religion among people, and the religion of anthropology is first defined by E.B. Tylor in his primitive culture. Okay, in his primitive culture in 1871, his book named Primitive Culture. Some of the major theories are animism, animatism, monism, and primitive monotheism, and that is also known as the totemism. Okay, also known as totemism. Okay, yes. And the perceptions of people regarding the differences between man and nature are studied. First of all, the beliefs in natural forces and supernatural forces, that is spirits and or being, are investigated. The operation of religious traditions, including the rituals and ceremonies among non-literate and present societies, are studied in details. The practices which fall within the domain of religion, such as taboo, totemism, also examined. Okay, in the next chapter or next topic, the differences between magic, religion, and science, these are comparatively most important for UPSC perspective, because all three very important in terms in the chapter of religion, and these three are important for mains perspective. Okay, witchcraft and sorcery, these are the terms which are also important for men's perspective. Okay, are examined as a important aspect of non-literate magic, because these also believes that supernatural beliefs and spirits are most important role play here, and the social and psychological functions of magic and religion are emphasized. So these are the overviews of this topic, that is anthropology of religion. And next branch is physical anthropology. The branch of physical anthropology which attempts to explore human mystery related to their origin, differentiation, and diversities and distributions. With the advancement of genetic sciences, it became more and more biology oriented, and by virtue of it, its area of study got considerable extension. By considering the whole situation, it can be divided into the following sub branches, such as primatology. Primatology means the study of primates and its behavior. It is the scientific study of primate group of mammals. How primates came into existence. Man, the central figure of just a second. Man, the central figure of anthropological study, belongs to the order primate of animal kingdom. The primates, starting from the smallest rat like microcebus to the largest huge bodies like gorilla. So remember this. The primates came into existence from a smallest rat, that is Shiba or Cebus. Okay. So this is the, sorry for if I will pronounce wrongly. Okay. So because this is a Cebus or Shiba, to the largest huge bodies, that is gorilla. In their various stages of development, show different life patterns. The integrated study of the primates in the background of physical anthropology gives an intrinsic value to understand the position of man. And next branch of anthropology, that is physical anthropology, is ethnology. It is the study of human diversity. Okay, in terms of linguistically, behaviorally, culturally. Okay, so these are the diversities of ethnology. All the living men in the world are categorized into different groups, broadly known as races. Okay, so we study under ethnology, we can study races system in the world. These are now understood as the Mendelian populations, an inbreeding group of humanity sharing a common gene pool. It also attempts to explain the nature, formation, and differentiation of the racial groups. And next is the human biology. It deals with the concrete biological principles and concepts of man. It is different from the biology of other animals because of the impact of cultural achievements. It is highly influenced by the culture as well, because human biology, which is not separate from the cultural biology. Culture sometimes remodel biological phenomena. Okay, so and physical anthropology. Physical anthropologists attempt to understand this biological feature of man and their successive development, changes in structure and function through time. A next branch of physical anthropology is paleoanthropology. Paleo means old, okay, and anthro means human. Okay, so old, study of history of mankind. It is the branch of physical anthropology which deals with the documentation of biological history of mankind. So, under paleoanthropology, the study of human existence or human life in the past, and they work on fossil evidence collected from the different layers of the earth. It also attempts to reconstruct the link between the human and non-human traits that had so long been lost. And they evaluate the fossil remains found from different sites and establish their status and evolutionary significance. Next branch is not branch, but the branch of physical anthropology is human genetics. Under human genetics, the genetics deals with the inherited characters. There is a genetic relation between parents and their offspring. That is the genetic behavior in human in terms of the hereditary position or inheritance character of man and his offspring. The heredity and its mechanism must be well understood in order to know the origin and evolution of man, because we can trace this evolution man from this inheritance character of this biology. And human genetics is a specialized branch of physical anthropology which reveals the mechanism of heredity of various traits in man. Next branch is the nutritional anthropology. It deals with the matter related with the nutritional perspectives of human beings and their subsequent growth and development. The population of a country needs proper growth and development, and growth, however, is dependent on two factors, that is heredity and environment. So both these correlation with this nutritional anthropology. And this branch of knowledge concerns the impact of these two factors on human beings as well, because absence of these both these factors, the human existence on the planet is not possible. The next branch of physical anthropology is medical anthropology. It studies disease patterns and their impact on human societies. And medical anthropologists attempt to bring into light the socio-cultural as well as genetic or environmental determinants of disease within a population through the close study of the people and their way of life. And this proves very much effective in combating different diseases in human societies. So you can remember this. Next branch of physical anthropology is physiological anthropology. Under this physiological anthropology, the internal organs of the human body, the study of the internal organs of the human body in order to understand their biochemical constitutions. Okay, and it is also concerned with how the physiology of man interacts with the external factors like climate, food, habits, etc. Moreover, it studies biochemical variations in man and other primates. And under forensic anthropology, skeletal structure of hominids and non-hominids to understand the similarities and differences of the body parts. This branch of anthropology, this branch of knowledge becomes very effective in the detection of criminals as well as in the identification of the nature and status of individuals through their biological remains. So understand this. And dental anthropology, we can study under dental anthropology is the dental architecture and dental structure of man and its the existence of the dental arcade. This branch of knowledge deals with the teeth and its pattern. The teeth provide that the body is shape and size, so this is very important. If teeth in good shape, then body is also the matter of fact that it will be better if the teeth are in good condition. Okay, and the dental morphology helps us to understand human evolution, growth, body morphology and genetic features, and human growth and development. It is another area of interest to physical anthropology in which biological and mechanisms of growth as well as the impact of the environment on the growth process are studied. Today, physical anthropologists study the impacts of disease, pollution and poverty on growth. Detailed studies of the hormonal, genetic and physiological basis of the healthy growth in living humans contribute to the understanding of the growth patterns of our ancestors and also to the health of children today. It is therefore a specialized knowledge which attempts to study the distribution of different dental traits among different populations. So remember this. And anthropometry, this is the anthro means human and prometry means the measurement. Okay, so remember this. That is under this the anthropological science of measurement means measurement of human beings or its height, weight, okay, and its organs, that is nose such as brachycephaly, nostrils, eyebrow, etc. These can be studied under anthropometry. This study is not only useful in the study of gradual human development, growth, evolution and in understanding the racial discrimination patterns, but also helpful in the day-to-day way of life which is exclusively related to the human bodily forms. And next is the ergonomy. Under ergonomy, the physical anthropology is concerned with the correlation between the static body dimensions and the designing of machines to be driven by man. That is, this branch of knowledge is very important by the very fact that many groups of people differ in body size as a result of varied biological and environmental factors. Demography. Demography means the science of population, means counting of population. Okay, and it deals with fertility and mortality. So you can remember this: when demography is measured or when demography is occurred, the fertility and mortality is also occurred in the population. These two factors such as fertility and mortality are again influenced by heredity and environment, as it is concerned with the traits like growth, age, sex structure, spatial distribution, migration. In addition to fertility and mortality of the population, it naturally becomes a specialized branch of physical anthropology. And under ethology, the science of animal behavior. Under ethology, etho means that is, it means animal, and logos means study or science, that is science of animal behavior. The data obtained from the study of other primate behaviors are being used to help explain the basic background of human behaviors and to suggest how human ancestors may have acted on the different issues. Archaeological anthropology. Next branch is archaeological anthropology. Under this branch of knowledge attempts to trace the origin, growth, and development of culture in the past. By past, we mean the period before history. When man had not acquired the capabilities of language, not merely to speak, but also to write in order to record the story of his life. And this frequently known as the proto-history. That is, people are not known for their language and for written record. So only they can know, they could know the writing process. And in present modern human beings, those writings are not understandable. The archaeological anthropologist differs from the sociocultural anthropologist in two important aspects, such as the former studies past cultures while the latter studies present. Okay, the anthropologist studies past culture and sociocultural anthropologist studies the present culture. And the former, that is archaeological anthropologist, lacks the advantage of personal contact and interaction with the people he is studying, which the former enjoys. Okay, and archaeology can tell us about the technology of peoples by analyzing the tools they have left behind, and based on this it can shed light on the economic activities of the people who utilized that technology. The artistic capabilities of people become apparent through the remains of fire engravings on pottery, intricate designs on jewelry. Physical remains of housing can reveal certain aspects of social structure, because housing in the past that was made from the mud as well as the wooden structure, such as in Indus Valley civilization, houses made from bricks, mortar, mud, and sometimes the wooden structure. Okay, wooden is not found, but this wooden structure found in during the modern period. Okay, so brick formation is only found during the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, besides certain aspects of religious beliefs can also be guessed by observing burial sites and the articles kept in graves, and such various aspects that archaeological anthropologists Study begin with an attempt to understand the geological processes, particularly the great ices and the succession of climatic phases that have left behind stratigraphic evidence in river terraces and moraines. These are geographical terms which you need to understand. That is, terraces means the mountain pattern such as this is as staircases, and moraines, that is, this is a mountainous area and moraines is near the foot of the mountain. Okay. Further, it studies man as an artificer. Based on the types of stone tools, they divided the cultural development of man into three stone ages, that is Paleolithic, Old Stone Age, Mesolithic, Middle Stone Age, and Neolithic, New Stone Age. An excavation to discover artifacts dating the assign an approximate time period and clever conjectures to build the cultural history of man's past are the methods used by archaeological anthropologists. Basically, they often work with the sociocultural anthropologists to study and reconstruct past cultures by the method of exploration, that is, by inferring the unknown from those things that are known. And next and last is action or applied anthropology. The fourth branch of anthropology is linguistic anthropology. Under this branch of anthropology which deals with the languages, linguistic means the study of languages. Under this linguistic anthropology, it is concerned with the languages of all people, past and present, as it is the chief vehicle through which man preserves and transmits his culture from generation to generation. Okay. It is also interested in the relationship between language and culture cognition as well as cultural behavior. The the major difference between linguistics and linguistic anthropologists is that the former are mainly formal means cultural cognition, concerned with the study of how languages, particularly written ones, are constructed and structured. But linguistic anthropologists study unwritten languages as also written languages. Another crucial difference between them is those features which the formal takes are taken for granted into consideration by the latter. Okay, such as the language and cultural cognition. These features are related to the systems of knowledge, belief, assumption, and conventions that produce particular ideas at particular times in the mind of people. And each of these features are the mind of the people. Each of these features are culturally conditioned and hence unique to each culture and society. So these are the simple terms which you can easily learn this. And relationship of prehistoric archaeology with other branches of anthropology. Anthropology is the scientific study of humanity in the widest possible sense. That is, study in the with the time and space. It is the holistic study of man. Anthropology is the holistic study of man. Anthropologists study human beings as biological organisms and as people with a distinctive and unique characteristic culture. So you need to understand how anthropology works. And this term we earlier studied this term anthropology, such as this term was given by Aristotle, and this was defined the term anthropology as the anthropology of its time. Okay, so Immanuel Kant defined this term, and A.L. Kroeber defined the anthropological definition or theory of anthropology. So you need to understand this term. It studies men of all places of the world as well as men of all times and at all levels of culture. Although man evolved about 3.5 million years back, he invented within about 5,000 years ago. Assuredly, no discipline claiming itself as the science of man can ignore this part of human society, because human society mainly came into existence during the evolution of Homo neanderthal and Homo erectus, that is erect man, and Homo habilis. These are the hominids which were evolved back to the Homo sapiens, such as Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and Denisovans, and lastly and the nearly the friend of modern human is the Homo sapiens. Okay, so remember this chronology order. Within the purviews of anthropology, it is the prehistorians who carry on study of this bulk of human existence. Anthropological researches are carried on to study human development from the very earliest time as well as on contemporary human societies. And prehistoric archaeology studies man of the past for which there are no written records. Okay, no written record means the prehistoric archaeology, and written record but not even can be understood, that is the proto history, and when written record can be understood, that is the history. Okay, so remember this. In the absence of written evidence, the study of past life and culture depends on material remains left unconsciously by the prehistoric man. In archaeology, the science of material remains is the main basis of reconstruction of man's prehistoric past. Prehistoric archaeology, thus defined as the systematic study of antiquities or evidences as a means of reconstructing the prehistoric past, is recognized as all over the world as a subfield of anthropology. Okay, and in many countries including India, prehistoric archaeology has traditionally been taught in the Department of Anthropology. The anthropological approach to archaeological problems of the prehistoric period has added a new dimension to prehistoric archaeology. As a scientific discipline, prehistoric archaeology is a recent intellectual development. In fact, till 1833, there was no term like prehistory. The term was used for the first time by Tornell, and then in 1851 it was Daniel Wilson. You need to remember these two archaeologists who gave the term the prehistory, and Daniel Wilson, who used the word in his book the Archaeology and Prehistoric Animal of Scotland. So archaeology and prehistory was the terms which are defined by Daniel Wilson in his book The Archaeology and Prehistoric Annals of Scotland. But within a few decades, especially after the Second World War, the subject has developed tremendously. As a result, several new subfields or approaches have emerged during which gave birth to the concept like new archaeology, ethnoarchaeology, and ethnoarchaeology, social archaeology, environmental archaeology, salvage archaeology, underwater or marine archaeology, forensic archaeology, cognitive archaeology, action archaeology, etc. All of these new ideas mainly concentrate on the reconstruction of total life phase of man's prehistoric past. The study of prehistoric archaeology, therefore, is very much related with both physical as well as social cultural anthropology as well as linguistic anthropology. So these are the branch of socio-cultural anthropology. And relationship of prehistoric archaeology with physical anthropology, how this can relate these two terms. Physical anthropology is the branch of anthropology that concerns humans as a biological species. It is the study of human evolution and biological variation and encompasses the study of fossil man. Okay, it is the study of humankind from the biological perspective, and it is concerned among other things with the study of racial types of man, their differences and distinct features besides their origin and evolution. It also concerns the bio-social adaptation of different human populations living in different geographical and ecological zones, and it involves the study and analysis of human anatomy and anthropometry. So these are the terms which are studied in some minutes before. Okay, so you need to back and slide the video you need to understand these terms. Okay, measurement of skulls, jaws, and other parts of the human skeleton for comparative study is an important feature of the study. The major areas of interest in physical anthropology have been classified as biological anthropology, human anatomy, human taxonomy, primatology, human paleontology or paleoanthropology, ethnology, population genetics, human ecology, forensic anthropology, medical anthropology, etc. Each of these sub-branches of physical anthropology is related directly or indirectly with different areas of archaeological study. An investigation of human biological evolution presents one of the most important areas for the physical anthropologist. The study of human evolution through the analysis of fossil is called as the paleoanthropology. Paleo means old, anthropology means human plus science means study of old humans, that is the primitive man. The paleoanthropologists use a variety of scientific techniques to date, classify and compare fossil bones to determine the links between modern humans and their biological ancestors. Okay, biological ancestors such as Gigantopithecus, Ramapithecus, Shivapithecus, Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo denisovans, and finally modern humans. So remember this. For the archaeologists, reconstruction of biological evolution is of equal value. Both physical anthropologists and prehistoric archaeologists may closely work while studying ancient tools, associated finds including fossil remains and other activities of early man, to learn the earlier behavior of man as well as to reconstruct the prehistoric cultures. According to L.G. Freeman, within the field of anthropology, the discipline called paleoanthropology is the study which attempts to discover, describe and interpret evidence for the physical and behavioral evolution of Homo sapiens and his hominid ancestors and relatives. Thus, it embraces scholars who call themselves physical anthropologists on the one hand and archaeologists or prehistorians on the other. It is now clear that paleoanthropology embraces two distinct fields of studies in its level of specialization. The pre-human skeletal remains have to be examined by paleoanthropologists because under paleoanthropologists, the fossils of primitive man which can be studied through this paleoanthropologist. Okay, and primitive mans can be studied through these through their skeletal remains which are fossilized. They can analyze the data and help in identifying whether the particular skeletal portion is that of a child or an adult, such as the Taung Valley found by Remondert is the fossils of Lucy. Okay, child as a child form. Okay, Lucy was a 14 years old child. Okay, an adult male or a female and the like. The role of paleoanthropologists is very important in the excavation of burial sites. The analysis of skeletal remains throws light on the physical and racial characteristics of people. Thus, the studies conducted in different parts of the world have traced the expansion of early man throughout the world. Though the concept of pure racial types has been discarded by modern anthropologists, various attempts have been made by physical anthropologists. They classify the races in the world on the basis of various characteristics of the human population, such as head form, face form, shape of nose, eyes, hair, stature, portion of the body, etc. Negroid, Caucasoid, or European and Mongoloid. These are the races which can be understood, which can be studied through the ethnology. Okay, ethnology or ethnology. Okay, these are the three major racial types with distinctive physical characteristics. Each of these racial types is concentrated in a particular geographical area. The distribution of each of these types and subtypes in different parts of the world would certainly indicate racial migration, an important area of concern for prehistoric archaeologists. For example, the largest concentration on negroid that are found mainly in African continent as well as the South Asian and Southeast Asian nation is found in Africa, but this type is also found in Andaman Islands and Malay Peninsula. Okay, and again the Mongoloid race predominates in Japan, Korea, China, Mongolia, Russia, Tibet, and parts of Southeast Asia like Myanmar, Thailand, etc. But they are also found among the Native American Indians and Eskimos. The Caucasoids, with their subdivisions like the Nordic, Mediterranean, and Alpine areas, are found in Europe, West Asia, and India as well. The study of racial groups and subracial types, behavior traits, blood groups form a complex idea, and this led to the grooming of many subfields in physical anthropology. And these racial groups can be understood through the ethnological anthropology. The study of racial characteristics of the authors of an ancient civilization would give some clues regarding migration and contacts. For instance, the origin and diffusion of the megalithic burial practice in South India poses a problem, and analysis of skeletal remains should furnish some evidence regarding racial stock. A study of skeletal remains found at various archaeological sites would certainly give physical anthropologists an idea of the various racial strains or elements that had populated different parts of India at different times. And they would also reveal the continuity and discontinuity with the present day population and migration trends and the racial affinities of different periods. For example, the report on the skeletal remains of the Brahmagiri megaliths reveal a predominantly Australoid type and a more or less medium statured mesocephalic medium vaulted flat nosed type such as brachycephaly with powerful upper and lower jaws, probably of Scytho-Iranian stock in other proto-historic sites like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, Kalibangan, and Neolithic sites like Burjhom, etc. Physical anthropologists are joining hands with prehistoric archaeologists in order to know about early racial stocks. Okay, so you will remember this. As the early men were hunters and gatherers, physical anthropology studied contemporary foraging societies in order to fill in the fragmentary physical evidence left by early humans. In addition to the study of living human groups, physical anthropologists also studied living non-human primates called primatology for clues so that their chemistry, physiology, morphology, that is physical structure and behavior can give us some insights into the understanding of early man. And next, relationship of prehistoric archaeology with sociocultural anthropology. The sociocultural anthropology is another very important branch of anthropology which focuses on studying society and culture. This branch of anthropology deals with social and cultural institutions and tradition of society. Cultural anthropology is devoted to studying human cultures worldwide, both their similarities and differences. They attempt to study culture in its general sense. Okay, so these are the simple terms which you need to know about relationship of this archaeology and sociocultural anthropology. Archaeology, anthropological linguistics, ethnology, all are directly concerned with human culture. One of the most important aims of modern archaeological anthropology is to reconstruct the total life ways as far as possible. And modern prehistorians not only try to reconstruct the daily life and customs of the prehistoric people but also try to know the changing aspects of culture. They raise questions like how culture changes and why. In order to do so, it is found that the remains that they dug have their closest counterpart among living primates rather than among civilized people. Therefore, it was natural for them to come to anthropologists and especially social anthropologists who gathered information on primitive people, because primitive people was under prehistoric conditions. Okay, so not know they not knew the language as well as the modern cultures which they could interact with each other. The new archaeological anthropologist assumes that the reconstruction of now defunct modes of cultural adaptations can be considered as ethnology of prehistoric man, directly comparable to the data collected from modern functioning societies. With this view, life phase of living primate or primitive societies are most frequently studied by intensive ethno-archaeological research methods in order to gain insight into the mechanism of the past cultural adaptation. Okay, the need to understand the basis for the reconstruction of past life ways has prompted the growth of a new branch of archaeology called ethnoarchaeology and action anthropology. Okay, and these ethnoarchaeological works have the great advantage that one starts from the present and works back in time, taking prehistoric records as guide. It studies, that is ethnoarchaeology studies man's prehistoric past with the help of ethnographic materials and literature. There are many tribal communities in different parts of the world who are still in the food gathering stage or still manufacture stone tools or practice very primitive methods of agriculture. So you can remember this. Like social anthropologists, prehistorians also live among those primitive tribes, observe their tool making technique and other aspects of life, which throw a flood of light regarding their prehistoric counterparts. For example, the dry farming method that is practiced in the hills of northeast India would illustrate the ancient method of Neolithic agriculture. The circular type of huts used by the present day village folk in Bellary district of Karnataka talked well with the similar ones found in the Neolithic strata at Ecology. Okay. In this field of inquiry, the distinction between archaeology and anthropology, or more precisely ethnology, does not exist. Because of the development of such anthropology oriented works in recent decades during 60s onwards, there emerged concepts like archaeology is anthropology or it is nothing, as stated by American anthropologist Willie and Phillips in 1958, or concepts like archaeology is the anthropology of dead, as stated by David Hurst Thomas in 1974 in his book Predicting the Past. There's a very close relationship between archaeology and social anthropology, particularly ethnology, is established in ethnoarchaeological study. So remember this. And why you can conclude this related to branch of anthropology. Anthropology is the scientific study of man. It studies man of all places in the world as well as man of all times and at all levels of culture. At present, it has four major branches, that is physical, social, cultural, prehistoric and linguistic anthropology. Within the purview of anthropology, it is the prehistoric archaeologists who carry on studies of this bulk of human existence since its emergence from the animal stock. Hence, prehistoric archaeology is the story of a region or nation or people or race before it took to a new writing. Okay, the study of prehistory of archaeology is related with physical and socio-cultural anthropology. Like prehistory archaeology, physical anthropology also has a number of subfields. Of these subfields, paleoanthropology is much closely related with prehistoric archaeology. The role of paleoanthropologist is very important in the excavations of the burial sites. The experts of this subfield make many attempts to discover, describe and interpret the fossil evidence. Thus the paleoanthropologists are concerned with the study of ancient human beings, particularly their biological or physical characteristics and how they evolve. One of the important areas of interest for the modern prehistoric archaeologist is to reconstruct the total life wage of the forgotten people. They not only try to reconstruct the daily life ways and the customs of those early men, but also try to know the changing aspects of culture. Okay, so you can conclude this very effectively in your answer. Okay, ethnoarchaeologists live among the contemporary primitive communities, but with the specific purpose of understanding how such societies use material culture, how they make tools and the weapons, why they make or build their settlements, what they do, and so on. Okay, so this is the topic number 1.3. And if you want this PDF and this resource, you can send me email, okay, for the purchasing courses of this resource. So you can go to description and purchase this course and send me message in the email at varmapom8692@gmail.com. Okay, so I will provide you a best resource ever for the anthropology optional for UPSC 2024-25 with updated current affairs as well as the standard book resources. Okay, you need not to go other resources besides it. Okay, so we will end here. So thank you for watching and good night all of you.